It all started on the BMX track back in primary school. After school, we would run out, grab our bikes, and head straight to the track, without supervision and with total freedom. This was the beginning of free riding. Those days have long gone by. Our busy lives impinge on that adolescent freedom, and we wait. We're waiting for the spring to come, waiting for recognition as a sport, waiting for a legitimate venue. We're waiting for freedom. Jackson Hole, Wyoming is a place renowned for its legendary skiing and for being home to some of the hardest charging skiers and snowboarders in the lower 48. Unknown to even most mountain bikers, Yellowstone might have also been host to the first cross-country bikers. In 1896, the 25th Infantry, called the Buffalo Soldier Bicycle Corps, rode, walked, and carried their bikes cross-country to Yellowstone National Park, 500 miles from their Fort Missoula base. This historic trek was the beginning of a passion and innovation that continues today. In the summer of 2000, a group of locals began to explore the possibilities of a new variation of an old sport on Teton Pass, freeride mountain biking, a variation that would challenge what was once thought possible on two knobby tires and a metal frame.
Mountain biking is so easy to get into. It's just, you're on two wheels and you're cruising through the woods. It can't be any more fun than that.
I can't really think of anything that's more fun.
Who doesn't like going downhill on a bicycle?
I rode pavement in Iowa and Wisconsin. Floyd talked me into buying a Kona Stinky. And it's all downhill from there, I guess.
Just riding around town and hitting little jumps, and I was sold.
Cool thing is, like in 8th grade, me and my buddies used to hitchhike our bikes in the back of trucks up Highway 9, which is in the Santa Cruz Mountains in Los Gatos, and ride down all the hiking trails. Living and working at the bottom of Teton Pass, I'm just like, what, is there not a downhill trail on this pass? You can drive to the top. I said, Adrian, I'm gonna go up on the pass and I'm gonna scout a line. I bought a chainsaw and we'd go up with rakes and shovels and pickaxes, and I'd put a chainsaw in a backpack and do it.
Lloyd pretty much had the energy to go out and start building these trails on his own, and it seemed like a good thing to do. We'd go out and help build these trails.
It didn't seem like we were doing anything illegal or bad. And we looked at it and we're like, we could ride across this. And then we just started kicking branches off the thing, and we rode it super raw and jumped off the edge of it that same day.
That was a classic Floyd trail. Poorly laid out, straight fall line. It was going to have erosion problems. He never put any work into it. He just skidded it in and called it a trail, and it was. But that's how Floyd kind of operated. Ritalin was the first trail that got built. We were looking for stuff that was steeper, more technical, and myself, like with my BMX background, all I wanted to do was build jumps.
The first time I saw the top of that trail was a buddy of mine who wishes to remain unnamed, or maybe he does. Robert Floyd, Dr. Robert Floyd. I followed him in, and he had a $6,000 rig because he's a trust funder, and I had a piece of because I'm not, and I followed him down, and I was just thinking the whole time, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever done. It was pretty terrifying.
Okay, dude?
Yeah. The trail's like 3/4 awesome and 1/4 super sucky.
In 2001, 3 men in Marin County, California were indicted by a federal grand jury for carving a 4-mile illegal bike trail into the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. On February 28, 2003, in Hickory, North Carolina, federal officers ambushed and arrested 4 members of the loose biking group, the Hick Hucksters. With names like Billy Bats and Burrito Bob Shaggy, the Hick Hucksters built trails in the style developed in British Columbia, utilizing ladders to weave through the thick Appalachian forest. In December of the next year, the Snow Summit at Big Bear, a ski resort that pioneered the idea of lift-accessed mountain biking in the United States, permanently pulled the plug on downhill mountain biking, in part because of rampant illegal trail building.
Trails all over the place, these illegal outlaw trails are from the top of our mountain. They ride out east and west on the roads and what have you, and then just take off down through the woods.
The next year, we looked at a topographic map, and I said, Harlan, you and I got to go out there, scope this out. So we went on a pair of skis.
All the downhillers organized the next year and went out and skied a line in the winter. It decided to be a great mountain bike trail.
When it started to melt, we started building the lithium trail from the bottom up.
He was like, this is where the trail's gonna go, follow me.
It was really creative and fun for me. It was kind of like painting a masterpiece. I could build the trails how I wanted them.
What had started relatively innocently started to become conscious wrongdoing.
We knew we weren't doing something that was quote-unquote legal.
Nobody knew about it.
The guys on Teton Pass were so secret squirrel about it that unless you were part of their club and their little group, you didn't know about it. The Forest Service was looking for a couple of years before they even found one of the trails.
If there were people I didn't know, I was like, who are you? What are you doing out here? And how did you find this trail?
I never was told how to get to a trail. I'd have to be riding with the guys that were actually building the trails to be able to find those trails.
It was kind of this weird feeling of being up here and digging or whatever, and kind of having to look over your shoulder and wondering if you were actually going to get popped.
That was always in the back of your mind, like, what's around the next corner. I'm looking over your shoulder and wondering if Forest Service guy's going to walk down and want to know what the hell you're doing. Being up on the top there and looking down on the town and wondering, should we be in the woods? Can anybody see us from down there?
Planes would fly over, helicopters would fly over and be like, oh.
By the summer of 2001, 2 freeride trails have been built on Teton Pass, with little thought given to the Forest Service and the potential for repercussion. With the growing popularity of the sport and an increasing number of trails, the days of flying below the radar of the Forest Service were numbered, and the riders faced the distinct possibility that their sport would no longer exist on Teton Pass.
This is a small town and you can't keep a secret for long in a small town. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The Forest Service first started to catch wind of Ritalin and lithium, mainly I think because of the hikers or horse riders who would come up from below on existing trails, and all of a sudden they would see a new trail spurring off and heading up the mountain. So curiosity would lead them up that trail, and next thing you know, there would be full-face, fully armored downhill riders coming down really fast on top of them.
People are starting to come to me saying, hey, you should probably look up in this area. There is illegal activity going on. And so we started exploring around in this area, and we did find evidence of unauthorized trail construction, and that was a huge concern.
As trails were being discovered and conflict continued, the last renegade trail, Skull Trail, was built.
Skull was the one that was pushed it over the edge.
It was like a trail that was doomed to fail.
Skull was a lot of just free ride.
Unfortunately, at the bottom, it was another example of me hurrying and just wanting to have a trail, another trail.
Our buddy Ian, he went down super hard, shattered his leg.
The guy literally ripped his foot off. It was hanging from a tendon.
Search and rescue, hours of getting him out, and then really burly rehab and recovery. And his leg's never going to be the same after that.
They were definitely kind of pointing the finger out there at the downhill crew that they didn't know who that we were yet. It became known that they wanted to shut everything down, and it was imminent.
We initially tried to close some of the illegal trails.
Of course, that didn't last for too long, the first couple attempts. Trees got removed, trail got reopened, people kept riding it.
And you know what? What are they going to do? Close all the trails?
We'd always say they could put trees down and we can take them back off.
But again, once a trail is established, it's very hard to get rid of it.
This is here to stay, and if you guys fight it, you're going to lose. because these people we're gonna ride mountain bikes downhill all the time forever.
Eventually they did more work than the crew of downhillers that we had working on these trails, and they put enough trees down where they kind of surpassed us on our ability to think that we could always keep this thing open.
The summer of 2003 ended poorly for the riders. What had started out as a close group of friends excited by the thrill of a new sport was starting to become much more serious.
We knew that we weren't going to solve the problem by just putting up signs, having signs ripped down, closing things. That to really solve problems, you got to work on long-term solutions, not just this back and forth without ever talking to each other.
Following the tumultuous summer of 2003, the riders, tired of sneaking around and having their hard work go to waste, made a move that distinguished them from other rider conflicts around the country and reached out to the Forest Service and other groups on Teton Pass.
What can we do? How can we work together?
So we just wanted to get out there and make it known that we wanted to save whatever trails we built. And I guess there was the risk that they could in turn try to turn around and peg us individually for what was actually a crime.
There hadn't been a couple of people that were willing to come forward and say, we will take responsibility and we'll work to make this better. It wouldn't have happened.
And that's when it all came about, the first public forums, and I was called in to kind of be the liaison.
So a bunch of us from different shops and different riders and whatnot started to meet on a regular basis. And
that's when we decided to form our own organization, and the Teton Freedom Riders came about.
Contrary to the Forest Service mission of multi-use, those who had gathered at the old Wilson Schoolhouse agreed that some uses, specifically downhill mountain biking, were by nature incompatible with other trail users. But instead of shutting the freeriders out of the National Forest, the meetings took an unprecedented turn to find a way to include the freeriders.
It was very apparent that cross-country mountain biking was starting to level off and downhill mountain biking was growing fast. And it wasn't going to just go away. It brought with it different needs in terms of what kinds of trails and how you design a trail system.
They gave us lithium and said, if you come to the plate and become stewards of this trail, then we'll let you have it and we'll make it a legitimate trail. So all of a sudden lithium got the blessing of the Forest Service and became really the first user-specific downhill-only trail on Forest Service land in the country.
In exchange for lithium, the Teton Freedom Riders were forced to give up the beloved Ritalin and Skull trails. The newly formed relationship with the Forest Service has allowed the Teton Freedom Riders to organize and work in ways that before could never have been dreamed of.
That's pretty big. I mean, man, when you got feds helping you build a jump, Jesus.
History had been made as a small group of Jackson locals managed to help create the first downhill-specific trail system in Forest Service history. The newly formed Teton Freedom Riders would build, maintain, and manage all downhill-specific trails and would report directly to the Forest Service.
Not to mention the fact that most of the stuff we built before we were legit sucks. hard way, you know, how to get this going, or, you know, I mean, how many trails got put down, you know, closed down, how much work went to waste. You know, everything we build now, we know it's going to be there, you know, after we're done riding.
Remember, freedom isn't free.
The future of freeride mountain biking is more trails. Trails which are sustainable for freedom riders yet to come. Trails which are built in cooperation rather than in secrecy. And so we wait, waiting for new well-built trails, waiting for the riding with good friends, waiting for the coming season, waiting for freedom.
Supports freeride, downhill, cross-country, whatever you want to call it. We've published newsletters and books, we maintain a website, all aimed at making freeride a reality. And right now, IMBA's working with clubs all over the country to build bike parks and downhill trails. The one common thread in each of these freeride success stories is partnership. So if you want freeride trails, you want dirt jumps, start off by getting your friends together and forming a club. Or find the local club and work with them. From there, make a plan. Figure out where you want to build. Think about the land manager that's going to be most likely to work with you. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. And then try to come up with solutions. Think about the questions a land manager might have for you and have the answers ready for them. And then when the day comes to make your pitch, be ready for them to say no. Because really, first time out, that's probably what they're going to say. But keep working with them. And for more information, go to imba.com.
If you don't have something to get that, you just need anything at all. I should